Time you go to buy some beef, your grocery bill is likely, I hate to say, going to be a little higher.
Already been there, okay? Ooh. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics shows the average price of a pound of ground beef right now.
You stroll into the supermarket, take a loaf of bread from the shelf, and place it into your basket without hesitation. It's bread, so how horrible could it be? It is the most fundamental food item in our kitchens, the one we grew up with, and it is literally used to explain what is healthy. But what if I told you that the bread on those shelves, even from trusted supermarkets, may be harboring some deadly secrets? No, it's not simply about carbohydrates, gluten, or whether you like white or whole wheat. We're talking about dubious ingredients, misleading labeling, murky storage techniques, and even the risk that you're not receiving what you pay for. And the weirdest part? These are not obscure brands that no one has heard of. We're talking about some of America's largest food businesses, shops on which millions of people rely every week. Some loaves include unnecessary ingredients. Others may be sitting on shelves for far longer than they should. And a few, they made headlines for all the wrong reasons. So before you go for the next sandwich bread or burger bun, listen to me. We're about to go over 6 grocery stores where you should think twice before purchasing bread. And believe me, it's not what you expect. Ready? Let's start with a store where cheap doesn't necessarily equal cheerful. Dollar Tree. Look, we all enjoy a good deal. A loaf of bread costs $1.25. That sounds like a great deal. But here's the thing. Just because something is inexpensive does not imply it's worth it. Dollar Tree's bread area is one of the most affordable in the country. But there's a reason why some customers are walking right by it. First, let's discuss shelf life. Multiple customers, including a few former workers, have noted that some Dollar Tree shops receive bread shipments less frequently than comparable supermarket chains. This might indicate that the bread on the shelf is beyond its prime. While expiry dates are stated on the container, they are not always prominent or accurate, especially if the bread was not stored correctly throughout the supply chain. Then there's the branding shuffle. Dollar Tree frequently offers big bread brands, but only their lower-tier lines. The ultra-processed, filler-packed, shelf-stable varieties. You might believe you're receiving the same quality bread as at Walmart or Kroger, but the ingredient list says otherwise. Enriched bleached flour, high-fructose corn syrup, calcium propionate, monoglycerides, and diglycerides. Try saying that 3 times quick. These preservatives and chemicals may prevent bread from molding too soon, but they are not precisely what your body requires first thing in the morning. Another issue. There is little refrigerator space. Some Dollar Tree locations have limited cold storage, which means that specialized breads that need to be kept cool may be hanging out for longer than necessary. And don't forget about transportation. These loaves frequently travel considerable miles to reach the shelf. Bread that was cooked many days before may still be branded fresh when you pick it up. Oh, and here's the kicker. You are not always saving money, because these loaves are frequently smaller in size. Per ounce cost might be more than for the identical product at a regular grocery shop. So not only are you potentially receiving outdated bread with dubious ingredients, but you're also spending more per bite than you expected. So is Dollar Tree bread a bargain? Perhaps in a pinch. But if you have other possibilities, you might want to pursue them, because cutting shortcuts on something as simple and vital as bread seldom pays off. Target is known for its modern, clean, and minimalist design, which extends to their food area as well. You walk in looking for dish soap and somehow end up with a cart full of throw pillows and oat milk. But what about their bread aisle? The narrative isn't quite picture perfect. Let's start with their in-house brand, Good and Gather. Sounds wholesome, doesn't it? To be fair, the branding is on spot. However, if you dive deeper into the ingredient list, things begin to appear a lot less organic. Many of their basic sandwich breads still contain bleached flour, added sugars, and a variety of dough conditioners like mono and diglycerides, datem, and enzymes. These are industrial chemicals that help extend shelf life and enhance texture, but they are not what most of us think of when we hear the term freshly baked. Then there's the price dilemma. Target's grocery pricing is not always the most competitive. Similar loaves may typically be found cheaper at Walmart or a local supermarket. Unless you take advantage of a discount or use your red card benefits, you may be spending too much for bread. That is just good. But what about the actual kicker? Stock rotation. According to several former employees and online reviews, Target's supermarket staff is not always taught to properly rotate bread supply. That means older loaves might languish in the rear while newer supplies are stacked in front, resulting in inconsistent freshness. And if you've ever bought a loaf that turned moldy 2 days later, this may explain why. Another tricky problem is storage conditions. Some Targets with smaller food departments, particularly in urban locations, have limited room and may not preserve bread at the proper temperature or humidity. What was the result? Loaves that dry out faster, or, worse, sprout mildew more quickly after being brought home. And while Target does sell name-brand breads, the selection may be hit or miss. Don't anticipate the same choices as a full-service supermarket. This implies fewer alternatives for those seeking gluten-free sprouted grain or low-carb breads. Overall, Target could be ideal for a last-minute grocery run. However, if you're serious about bread, fresh, nutritious, genuine bread, it may be worthwhile to seek beyond the red bullseye. Okay, let's speak about Family Dollar. This supermarket isn't known for its fresh fruit or artisan loaves, but it does sell bread, and a lot of people buy it because it's inexpensive. And that's the major attraction, right? Low pricing. But there is more to the tale of what you receive for your money in the bread aisle. Let us start with quality control. Family Dollar frequently carries low-cost, generic brand bread, and these loaves have a longer shelf life than your favorite snack cakes. That's due to an excellent selection of preservatives and stabilizers. Sure, your bread won't get moldy in a day, but you'll also be eating calcium propionate, sodium stearoyl lactylate, and a few more substances you probably didn't expect. What about freshness? It's kind of a gamble. Family Dollar shops frequently lack a specialized grocery staff. Bread may have been sitting in the back for too long, or was not properly rotated. You may discover expiry dates that are far too near for comfort, or worse, past due. Some customers have even reported discovering loaves with evident mold remaining on the shelves. Let's be clear, this is not every Family Dollar. Some sites, particularly those in larger marketplaces, may be able to maintain enough supply and freshness. However, the inconsistency is a significant worry. Unlike full-service grocers, Family Dollar stores are usually understaffed, and perishable commodities such as bread do not receive the attention they deserve. Another issue: storage conditions. These shops were not designed for food retailing. In many stores, bread is housed on a metal shelf near the front, where it is exposed to sunlight and temperature fluctuations. That is not ideal for sustaining quality or shelf life. And if you're shopping on a busy day, loaves may be squeezed, shredded, or even pierced by other things crammed into the same aisle. Finally, there's the issue of nutrition. Many of the breads served here are ultra-processed white loaves with very little fiber, a lot of sugar, and almost little nutritious value. Sure, you are saving money, but at what cost? Here's one that may surprise you. Whole Foods. Yes, it's the temple of organic food. Kale chips, and turmeric-infused water. You'd expect the bread here to be high quality, right? It's complicated. Whole Foods does sell freshly baked breads that look just lovely behind the glass. Sourdoughs, multigrain boules, and gourmet baguettes with the perfect crunch. But we aren't just talking about the expensive $7 loaves. The fact is that Whole Foods has a large selection of boxed breads, and not all of them live up to the promise. Many of Whole Foods' prepackaged breads still contain chemicals such as natural flavors, cane sugar, and gar gum. Some loaves branded multi-grain contain relatively little whole grain. The labels are designed to appear cleaner, but when you turn them over and read the ingredient list, it's not all organic flour and good feelings. What about the price? Yikes. You're easily spending $5 to $7 for a loaf of bread that you could purchase elsewhere, minus the designer packaging. Yes, some of the ingredients may be somewhat better, but does it warrant paying double or treble what you would at a regular store? Not always. Additionally, Whole Foods is not immune to quality variances. Some of their bakery goods are supplied frozen and then baked on site, creating the appearance of freshness. So that freshly baked ciabatta may have been frozen for weeks. Let's not forget Amazon's ownership. Since they took over, several longtime customers have reported a drop in quality and an increase in store brand items in the bread aisle, products that don't often scream premium when you look at the ingredients. So yes, Whole Foods has the image of a healthy, conscious alternative. However, this does not always imply that their bread is worth your money or confidence. Big Lots is currently better known for closeout furniture and discount foods than bread, although they still sell it, and people purchase it, usually because it's so inexpensive. But that's also where the red flags start to fly. Big Lots sells a lot of leftover or overstocked supermarket goods. That is bread that is reaching the end of its shelf life or has passed its peak. Some of the loaves are from well-known brands. However, they have been reduced because they were overproduced or did not sell quickly enough elsewhere, which raises the issue of why they didn't sell. Quality, shelf life, and freshness can all be questioned. Some loaves may have been sitting in a warehouse before reaching the retailer. Others may have been subjected to shifting temperatures or faulty storage. And because the inventory fluctuates so much, you can't expect to find the same bread or the same degree of quality every time you buy. It's worth mentioning that expiry labels might be difficult to spot or faded. If you don't check closely, you can wind up with stale, dry bread before you reach home. So certainly, you are getting a bargain. However, that arrangement comes with a risk of unpredictability. And when it comes to something you consume every day, such as bread, it may not be a risk worth taking. If there is one location that screams budget-friendly, it's Big Lots. When you go into a Big Lots shop, you are greeted with a mashup of off-brand drinks, inexpensive furnishings, and, yes, grocery aisles, including loaves of bread. Sounds like a hidden gem for frugal shopping, right? Not so fast. Let's be honest about Big Lots' bread aisle. Big Lots is known for selling excess goods and overstock from other stores. That's part of its appeal. Everything feels like a bargain. However, when it comes to perishable items such as bread, this paradigm becomes a double-edged sword. Often, the bread on store shelves is nearing its expiration date, or, in other circumstances, has already passed its prime. While theoretically okay to consume, bread that is about to get stale isn't ideal. Let's talk about freshness. Because Big Lots does not refill items on a regular basis like typical supermarkets, you are more likely to purchase bread that has been on the shelf for some time. Have you ever picked up a loaf that seemed unusually dense? Have you observed that the slices are beginning to collapse under their own weight? That's not artisan style, it's ancient bread. Big Lots also sells lesser-known brands. You can come across unfamiliar names such as regional brands or defunct product lines. While there's nothing fundamentally wrong with it, it's critical to be a label detective. These unusual loaves frequently include a laundry list of preservatives, stabilizers, and sweeteners to improve shelf life. Consider calcium propionate, datum, diacetyl tartaric acid esters of monoglycerides, and high fructose corn syrup. You may not get mold, but you will definitely not receive clean ingredients. And speaking of mold, let's talk about storage conditions. Many Big Lots locations are not climate controlled, as is the case with most grocery stores. In warmer months, this might involve heat exposure, which accelerates deterioration. And buying bread that is near to its expiration date is a dangerous combo. Nobody likes to open a suitcase and see fuzzy green patches on day 2. You may also notice packing damage more frequently at Big Lots. Dented, ripped, or resealed bags are not unusual, especially for discount products. Even the slightest hole in a bread bag can cause staleness, or worse. Now let's talk about the pricing. Yes, the bread at Big Lots is inexpensive. Sometimes it's startlingly inexpensive. But ask yourself, is it really worth it if you wind up throwing away half the loaf because bread's stale, too sugary, or tastes off? Saving $1 or $2 now just to waste more later isn't a good deal. Finally, there is a restricted selection. If you're health conscious or have dietary limitations, such as requiring whole grain, gluten-free, or sprouted alternatives, Big Lots is unlikely to meet your needs. Whatever you see is what you get. The majority of what you see is white bread, processed flour, and plenty of additives. Let's be clear, we're not suggesting Big Lots is wicked. It's a terrific place to get savings on home items, snacks, and paper towels. What about bread, though? It is a gamble, one that may result in stale slices, dubious ingredients, and major buyer's regret. So if you're looking for fresh, nutritious, and reliable bread, Big Lots might not be your best option. It is preferable to shop at a food-specific grocer rather than a discount store. Okay, let's tie it all together. We traveled through 6 grocery stores: Walmart, Dollar Tree, Aldi, Family Dollar, Whole Foods, and Big Lots, and discovered some unexpected facts about their bread sections. From shady storage and strange ingredients to questionable expiry dates and marketing ploys, it's evident that not all loaves are made equal. Look, this isn't about snobbery. It is not about instructing you to exclusively eat hand-braided sourdough from a Brooklyn-based small bakery. It is about being mindful. Bread is a daily staple for the majority of us. It's what we toast in the morning, sandwich together at lunch, and dip into soup at night. So it matters. Ingredients are important. Freshness is important. And certainly, The place where you buy it counts. So what should you do? Here's a tip. Study the ingredient label. If it seems like a chemistry exam, maybe put it back. When possible, shop locally. Small bakeries can have fresh, preservative-free selections. Consider baking your own. You'd be surprised how easy it is to bake a delicious loaf at home with only a few ingredients. The lesson is that you should not allow pricing or branding to dictate your decisions. Just because it says whole grain or comes from a store with a green emblem doesn't mean it's healthy. Trust your eyes, read the labels, and buy bread that is good for your body.